Hi, I'm Adrian Hargreaves and welcome to another Sales Enablement mini webinar. Today's guest speaker is Lyle Smith. Lyle is the founder of business storytelling agency Nymblesmith, and he has helped many people communicate their business through stories. Welcome to the webinar, Lyle.
Thanks so much, Adrian. I'm really pleased to be part of what you're creating here.
It's great to have you. Well, Lyle, the title of our webinar is How to Turn Your Case Study into a Story Which People Will Remember. So there are perhaps two questions. The first is, what's the thing about business stories? And secondly, how can we make case studies exciting?
Okay, thanks, Adrian. So yes, business stories. Well, it's not just about business stories, really. Think about the most memorable and engaging people you've ever known. What makes them different from the other people in your life? You enjoy having them around. You trust their input. You trust their judgment most of the time. And when they call you, you'll pick up the phone, right? Okay. Why? Trust. Most of the time, you remember things about them that you connect with. You trust them, and you remember some story that person told that resonated with you, something they said that made you understand them and believe that they were like you or they would honestly help you if they could. And that, in a nutshell, is the power of story. Memory, trust, and authenticity that connects. As humans, we're hardwired to respond to story, particularly a good or valuable story. It's been this way since we painted scenes on cave walls. Humans began telling stories to explain the world around them, communicate dangers and opportunities, and create a sense of community. Now, how to apply that to a case study or a conversation you have at a networking event or some other business brand-related story that you may need to tell. Small talk alone isn't going to do it. And pure data can be compelling, but even great data can be forgotten or dismissed. Now, take those data points and wrap them in a story, an example, an origin tale, a story of victory or happily ever after, and then you have something. Tell them where the project came from, how you made that connection with that CEO. Include some of the deepest, darkest moments when you were sure you were going to fail. Show them, don't tell them. Show them how you or your team persevered and overcame the obstacles. That gives the data value, real human value. You show off your thought process, your foibles and failures, and that's authentic. People trust authentic. People remember authentic. And a story well told gives you the opportunity to connect to those things that resonate for a customer in a meaningful way. What is it that you do? What is your offering and why? How can you make my life better, easier, or simpler? How do we get started? Lead them down the path. Heroes overcoming obstacles have been engaging and memorable since the time of Aristotle. When you give an audience or customer a path to follow that makes sense to them, they'll follow it. Case studies are like landmarks on a journey of success. When you know the landmarks and trust them, you don't need to ask for directions. You trust that they'll help you find your way.
Lyle, those are really great tips, thank you. And so let's have a couple of takeaways. And I think from what you've just been talking about, Lyle, takeaway number one is be authentic and develop trust. And I would say takeaway two, make a human connection between you and the customer and what they need. Is that right, Lyle?
I think that's exactly right, Adrian. Wrap up what you do and what you've achieved in an authentic story of your experience, and you start to develop trust. And then connect that story to what's meaningful to them, solving their problems, and they remember you.
Brilliant. Perfect. Well, Lyle, thank you for sharing your expertise today.
My pleasure. It's been a real pleasure being part of this.
You're very, very welcome. And Lyle, if people want to know more about you and Nymblesmith and what you can do for them, what would you say?
They can visit the website, nymblesmith.com. That's Nimble spelled with a Y, N-Y-M. Twitter, @Nymblesmith. or join the group I founded on LinkedIn called the Story Forge, where we discuss a lot of these things and how they can be used to help businesses grow.
That's fantastic. Thank you again, Lyle. And thank you also to our audience for giving up your time today. We hope you got some value out of it. And so until the next Sales Enablement mini webinar, it's bye from me.